Welcome, everyone, to today's Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here because we're about to unpack what might literally be the most profound paradigm shift in the entire history of our species. Think about it. Evolution has shaped humanity for millions of years, right? Slowly adapting us to our environment through countless generations. But what if that era is coming to a close? What if we're standing on the precipice of a totally new reality where artificial intelligence takes control of human evolution? Today, we're exploring the staggering and honestly sometimes unsettling concept of human augmentation and what it really means for our shared future. Okay, let's dive into this. Imagine a future where artificial intelligence can deliberately design stronger bodies, smarter brains, and vastly longer lifespans. We are talking about a world where devastating genetic diseases could completely disappear, and our baseline human abilities could reach absolutely unimaginable superhuman levels. But, well, there's a massive complication hiding just beneath the surface of this utopian vision. Not everyone may have access to these incredible enhancements. We really have to ask, what happens if society splits straight down the middle, creating a permanent divide between upgraded humans and natural humans?
All right, Section 1, Hacking Human Evolution.
To truly grasp the magnitude of this shift, we need to zoom all the way out. For 4 billion years, the ecological system of planet Earth contained exactly one type of life, organic. Every single leap forward was dictated by the slow, unyielding laws of biology. But guess what? We aren't waiting on biology anymore. We're seeing a monumental pivot right now. The instantaneous merging of the biological human hand, our DNA, and robotic technology. We are actively hacking Darwinism. We're basically taking the reins from Mother Nature and using advanced technologies like synthetic biology, AI, and nanotechnology to write our own biological source code. Now, to understand the driving force behind all this, we need to establish our core vocabulary, transhumanism. This is a futuristic philosophy rooted in the ideas of thinkers like evolutionary biologist Julian Huxley and bioethicist Max Moore. In fact, Huxley coined the term to describe a phase where humanity essentially takes control of its own evolutionary destiny. The core belief here is that the human species in its current biological form isn't the end of our development at all. It's actually just a comparatively early phase. It's the idea that we have a responsibility to overcome the strict random constraints of natural selection.
Moving right along to Section 2, the Transhumanist Promise.
So why do we even want to hack our evolution in the first place? While transhumanist thinkers point out that natural evolution is a blind, incredibly slow, and frankly uncaring process, it has left us so vulnerable to disease, to injury, cognitive decline, and ultimately aging and death. And this brilliantly illustrates the idea that we are moving from our primitive primate ancestors straight past the modern human glued to a smartphone and right into a fully augmented, connected technological mind. The promise here is that AI and biotechnology offer a direct corrective to our tragic fragilities. For proponents, trying to stop this progression is like wishing we had never evolved past Homo erectus. It's just seen as the natural, inevitable next step. Which brings us to a concept that carries incredible gravitas, summarized perfectly by the scientist and futurist Ray Kurzweil. He points out that we are rapidly approaching this singularity. This is the theoretical threshold where computers cross the line into learning and improving entirely on their own. Once AI culture and intelligence vastly outpaced human intelligence, some researchers argue that the only way for humanity to simply survive and stay relevant is to embrace these artificial upgrades, either partially or entirely. That takes us to Section 3, Upgrading the Human Machine. Let's move from the philosophical down to the practical. We aren't just talking about science fiction anymore. These are actual real-world mechanics, what some are calling Humanity 2.0. A joint strategic implications report by the UK government and the German military actually categorizes our potential upgrades into 3 distinct platforms. First up, physical, so increasing strength, speed, and endurance through advanced prosthetics or gene editing. Second, psychological, using brain interfaces and neurostimulation to improve attention, long-term memory, and even strictly regulate our emotional states. And finally, social, utilizing these tools to radically improve communication, trust, and group cohesion. They are literally treating the human body itself as a platform to be optimized. The report also maps out a highly specific potential timeline for when these disruptive technological steps could trigger mass global acceptance. By 2035, they predict enhanced DNA modification technologies will mature, which would spark massive market growth. By 2040, artificial intelligence and brain interfaces could reach truly disruptive, transformative capabilities. And by 2045, the development of what is essentially a universal vaccine for diseases could make human augmentation a universally accepted, everyday reality. Which leads us directly into Section 4, the enhancement divide. Now here is where we hit the great complication. The technology is coming, for sure, but who actually gets to use it? What happens to global society when these staggering upgrades are extremely expensive, heavily patented by private corporations, and effectively restricted to just the incredibly wealthy? An essay in Mirror highlights a stark contrast between two models of evolution. Natural selection is slow, random, neutral, and takes generations to manifest. Artificial selection, however, driven by AI and immense wealth, is quick, it's intentional, deliberate, and entirely transactional. Think about that. Human biology is shifting from something we simply inherit from nature to a product that can be bought and sold. Section 5. A new biological caste. If human biology becomes purely transactional, we are staring down the barrel of a terrifying socioeconomic reality. We're looking at an extreme division where a new elite dominates society. And not because they worked harder or earned it through merit, but simply because they could afford the biological upgrade. The sources outline several severe societal consequences if this isn't managed incredibly carefully. The wealthy could literally become a genetically distinct overclass. Unaugmented, baseline humans would be heavily marginalized, potentially left as disadvantaged as the illiterate are in today's modern economy. And that desperation, it could fuel a massive rise in unregulated, do-it-yourself biohacking. Just picture people using black market CRISPR home kits to edit their own DNA in their garages, which poses catastrophic safety risks. Ultimately, this all leads to the total erosion of social cohesion. Which leads us to this incredibly chilling warning from Yuval Noah Harari. He notes that for thousands of years, humans have lived inside the dreams and cultural frameworks of other humans, prophets, poets, politicians. But AI is fundamentally different. It can generate completely new ideas. If AI takes the wheel of our cultural and biological evolution, we are essentially handing over our reality to a non-human entity. And finally, Section 6. Better or divided forever? We have reached the climax of our explainer. We really have to weigh the ultimate, world-altering consequences of successfully hacking Darwinism. So the crucial point is that this is a true double-edged sword, and the stakes could literally not be higher. On one hand, we have a genuine utopian promise, using AI and augmentation to eradicate horrific genetic diseases, massively extend healthy lifespans, and finally overcome the tragic fragilities of the human body. But on the exact opposite side, we have a dystopian reality, the creation of an untouchable elite genetic overclass, the permanent marginalization of natural humans, and a hyper-competitive biological arms race that shatters the very concept of a shared humanity. Both of these outcomes are drawn directly from the immense power of this incoming technology. As we wrap up today's deep dive, I want to leave you with this final immense question. If artificial intelligence takes the reins and designs the next stage of our evolution, will humanity become something fundamentally better, or will we find ourselves divided forever? Think on that for a bit. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I can't wait to explore the next